always assert that purity. Know that you are that. I'm not the body, not the mind. Immortal self I am.
Things happen to all of us all the time, and the constant reminder that I am not this body, I'm not this mind, immortal self I am, helps you through every troublesome event in your life. You know, when you get too much pain in the body, you go, well, I'm really not this body, you know. My body is going through this, but I am free. And this is the whole chapter that we're talking about today, yoga of the field and the knower. As we talked about 2 weeks ago, what is your field? Your field is your body. This is a field. And the backdrop is where you were born, where you were brought up, the occurrences in your life, and your journey through life. That is your backdrop. And your field is the body. In this body, we have the 5 senses. Now, when these senses are not in our control, then life drives us crazy. The senses drive us crazy. We associate with everything that is not us, that is material, that is to do with the body, because we think we believe we are the body, so we believe this house is mine, or so something breaks, I get upset. We start to get so engrossed in our material world. And here in chapter 13, Sri Krishna tells Arjuna, know who you are. Know this is your field. Understand it. Know yourself well. I love to think of my body as a machine. When I think of it as a machine, then I think that the knower resides in this machine as the personality called Nalini. So we all have our own personalities just because it wanted to experience everything. So we will continue on our journey through the Gita. We stopped at Sloka 8 last week. I think we finished 8, and we now will start with Sloka 9. They have no personal attachments because they do not mistakenly identify themselves with their own homes, families, husbands, wives, children, or parents. Thus unencumbered, they enjoy continuous equanimity in the presence of so-called good or bad fortune. Here he's saying those who have realized that Purusha, Atman, the higher self, lives within themselves, they have no personal attachments towards things that we always are personally attached to, family, homes, etc. They think it's ours. And as Khalil Gibran says in his beautiful poetry in The Prophet, nothing is ours. Our children are on loan. Our parents are on loan. Everything is on loan. And because you understand that they do not belong to you, you start to lose your personal demands on your family, your husband, your wife, your homes. Things go wrong. Oh no, it has to go this way. You know, you have to be like this for me, because you know nothing belongs to you. And that personal attachment only makes you suffer, because in your mind you think they belong to you, but they don't. And you only really start to understand this as you start to get closer and closer to the real truth. Who am I really? Who am I really? My body is my machine, it's the field. But who am I really? And why do I get so involved, and why do I suffer? And when you understand, you suffer because your mind thinks all those things belong to you. And that's why you suffer. Because if you look at suffering very, very deeply, and this is what I did in my practice, I learned early on in my practice that whenever I had a personal desire, may it be to change someone, or for a different outcome, or a different situation than the one I was in, when I had the desire for the difference, and when I could not accept the present as it was, it made me very miserable. And this is the personal desire that they're talking about here. Having desires is not wrong. That you want to be a great artist or a great singer, or that is not wrong. None of it is wrong. In fact, Paramahansa Yogananda says you need to have a goal. Without a goal, you cannot get anywhere. So how does one work around this? And the secret word here is personal. When you have a desire, like for the betterment of the world, or the betterment of mankind, or the betterment of your family, and instead of saying I and use the word we, then that desire is a healthy desire, because it's not only all about you. So here he says, once you start to understand that nothing really is yours, you start to detach naturally. And this is what people often ask me, Nalini, how to detach? How to detach from my family? How to detach from my children? And I tell them, you don't have to try to detach. You just have to attach to the Lord. You just have to attach to love. When you attach to love, you attach to the Lord. That's why I love the Upanishads when it calls God the Lord of Love. Because when you attach to love, then you see your children as love. You don't see them as your possession or your partner as your possession, but as love. And because you see it like that, you will not put your personal desires upon them. For example, many parents, I want my children to end up a lawyer or a doctor or a dentist or this and that. It's their desire for the child. And I always say, but that's your desire. What if your child wants to be a musician? And what if your child wants to be an artist? No, there's no money in that because this is my opinion. And how can they do that? They'll get wrecked. And then you have a lot of suffering in the family. So it's the personal desire. So of course, every parent wants their child or their families all to be successful. We want our friends to be successful. But without the personal attachment, we allow people to make their own judgments, their own mistakes, their own journey forward in life. But when we get so entrenched in our personal attachments, our decisions will not be clear. They will not be made out of love. We think they're made out of love because we think, oh, I'm doing it the best for you. But we really are not. We're really doing it the best for us because we don't really know what is really best for the other person. And many times in my life, I have seen that people have to go through their own suffering. I've watched my children go through their own suffering. And through their own power and their strength, without me taking over, they have learned what strength they are and how dynamic they are. But if I interfere every time they fall and pick them up, how are they going to respect themselves? How are they going to know they have the strength? So you are understanding this non-attachment. It doesn't mean non-love. It means so much love that you put yourself behind and think what is best for those concerned because they don't belong to you. And then he says, when you have that unencumbered, like covered with this, encumbered, bothered, when you have this understanding, then you start to have more equanimity, balance in your life. And then you understand whether good fortune comes or bad fortune comes, it's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. And the secret is to be in that moment in love. It is the way it is. So good luck, as we all know. Bad luck, who knows? Sloka 10. They enjoy the yoga of steady devotion to me without interruption and naturally seek out quiet places away from the hubbub of society. Now here, that's what I was talking about. When you are entrenched in this love for the divine, and yoga means connection to that Atman, that Purusha, that God, that divine consciousness, then because you are not attached, have personal attachments, you enjoy steady devotion in your heart. You're constantly feeling this love in your very own heart. And then because you are quite content in that love, and you are not seeking for the world to make you happy, like in the other sloka it says, those who are well established in yoga will not disturb the world and will not let the world disturb them. So then, because you don't want to disturb the world or let the world disturb you, you spend more time in quiet. So you will notice as yogis, the deeper you go into your practice, and the more time you will start to need to be alone, to be in silence, to be around nature, to go for long walks on your own, or even if you're with a partner or a friend, to enjoy the silence together. So this is what it's saying. You no longer seek the hubbub of society. And when you are very entrenched in the world, as we are when we were younger, at least me, and this is a normal phase that we go through when we're young. We want to enjoy society, we want to know about life, we study life, and we want to go out and constantly out to, let's go to this party or this function or that function. And you lose all this as you get deeper and deeper into yoga. Union with God, because nothing makes you happier than that union. And then when you go out to the hubbub of society, you are so strong in that union that the hubbub of society doesn't disturb you anymore. And this is the yoga practices, to get to this state that we train ourselves to be constantly in this devotion internally, and nobody needs to know about it, or even you don't even need to talk about it. You just need to have this internally in your own self, and when you have that, you are really living with your higher self and the witness, because you witness yourself as you walk through society or people, and this gossip and that gossip, and you watch it like you're watching a play, constantly in touch with that silence within. But if you don't spend time in silence, it's hard to build up this inner strength. It takes time and willpower. 11. In this way, they develop continuous realization of the self, which they recognize to be the essence of the knowledge of the truth. I declare this to be wisdom. Seeking anything else is ignorance. Here Krishna is just saying, in this way you start to develop a realization of the witness within you. And this is the essence of truth. He says, what else is there to do with life? Because everything is a dead end. Everything you do finishes. We all know we have a dead end. So he goes, and knowing that our human mission is to seek that spirit while we're alive so that we can enjoy the hubbub of society in peace and love. And so we can say things like, when things go wrong, good luck, bad luck, who knows? So we can feel that. And that peace and that joy, once you found it, seeking anything else is ignorance. Everything else will give us a little bit of pain, and it's just the way life is. That's why you have Buddha's Four Noble Truths, right? The first one, there is suffering. And then there's a way out of it. and there's a way through it, and you can understand it's all karmic, and you can be free from it. So this is exactly what Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna.
Sometimes when I tell people this is all there is to yoga, they say, "Is that all? You make it so simple. We thought we had to practice 10 hours of pranayama a day, stand on the head and all kinds of things. See how simple it is? Just keep the mind clean, and you don't even have to worry about staying calm."
12. Now I will tell you what you really have to know, what is to be known. You will live forever when you know the supreme and absolute Brahman. You will live forever. There's no death. Once you know, you will live forever. And this Brahman, who has no beginning and can be called neither truth, sat, nor untruth, asat. So what is he saying? He's saying, you really can't talk about this Brahman or this self or this God, because you can never really say it is real. You can't touch it, not physically. And you also cannot say that it's unreal. So how are we to talk about what is to be known if we can't say it's true or untrue, it's real or unreal? And here he tells us how we can have a glimpse in Sloka 13. He is all pervasive, present in every hand and foot. He sees through every eye, speaks through every mouth, hears through every ear. Every head is he, enveloping all. And how do you know this? God, this Brahman? By seeing it in every face, every person, every animal, in nature, every word. It is in everything. 14. Though the senses are irrelevant to him, the senses, remember your 5 senses, and the whole idea of the Gita is to have control over the senses. To give the control to Krishna, who is the higher self, to give the control. Though the senses are irrelevant to him, so they don't belong to the higher self, their functioning shines with his splendor. So in order to function, the great spirit of God in the clear running water, Spirit of God is everywhere. The Spirit runs through us. It's our petrol. It's our energy. It is what keeps us going. And how we function is through this Spirit, this splendor. Though Brahman is independent, he is the ground of everything. Though the Absolute has no gunas, yet it is he who experiences the play. Now when you read all this, it may sound very confusing, but I would give you an easy way that I understood, and I've often used this analogy before, and I'll just repeat it so you can find it easy to understand. It's like if you go to the cinema, it is a white screen. Without the white screen, the motion picture cannot show on it. So without the white screen, there is no movie. But the white screen is not the movie, it's not the senses. But without the white screen, there can be no image. So this is basically what it's saying. So the gunas take part in the movie. The gunas take part in nature, in our bodies. We have the trigunas, and so it takes part with these senses, with this body on this earth. So the white screen, the higher self, although without it we cannot perform, it is not responsible for the gunas or our actions. 15. He is inside every being, and yet he is outside too. And there you got the screen. The movie is inside that white screen, but when you take it off, and the white screen is not there in the movie either. He is far away and right here now. He moves, and yet he doesn't move. It is so subtle. It is incomprehensible. So he's saying it's impossible to know. We're trying to relate this divine energy through words, but because that's words. It's only words. And you know the song by Bee Gees? It only words, and words are all I have to take your heart away. It's only words, right, that I can have to talk. Krishna has to talk about the divine, but really, you cannot explain it with the divine. It is kind of like I said the other week. If you take a drop of water from the ocean, can you measure the ocean with a drop of water? No, impossible. You cannot. But if you take a drop of the water of the ocean and you drink it, you know the essence of the water. You can know the essence of the ocean. So we are the drop of the ocean. The ocean is divine, and we're just one drop, each one a drop of that divine. 16. He is indivisible, yet he appears to divide himself into different creatures. He is seen as the sustainer of all. So, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara. The Guru creates, the Guru preserves, the Guru destroys the universe and sustains it. He is the sustainer of all, yet he devours all beings. We all go to death, right? Creation, sustainer, and destroyer. We all devours all beings, even as he simultaneously generates them all anew. And here is just saying this is the cycle of life. Into its great joys we go, into death, and we return into life again. This is the wheel of karma that goes round and round. 17. Deep in the hearts of all. I often quote this sloka, so please, I'd like you to remember this and just put it in your notebook. Deep in the hearts of all, there is the light of all lights, forever beyond darkness. So this light is the divine, and deep in the hearts of all, there is this light, forever beyond darkness. Once we touch this light, once we know it, once we feel it, once we discover it, there is no more darkness, there's no more fear. There's no more fear about death. Especially, there is no fear. Death is just another life. This is wisdom, the goal of all knowledge, and what is to be known. Know this to be the absolute Brahman. So he says, this is what is our mission on earth, to know this. This is all knowledge. Everything else will be left behind here. But this one is transcendental knowledge. It takes us beyond this world, this planet. It takes us beyond this dimension. This is all that we have to know. 18. Thus I have briefly revealed to you the nature of the field, kshetra, wisdom, jnanam, and what is to be known. Any of my devotees who understand this will rise to my state and realize their oneness with me. So he says, once you understand this wisdom, then you will be with me. You are with me. You are one with me. You just have to realize this. 19. Understand that both Prakriti, which is nature, and Purusha, higher self, are without beginning. And know also that the qualities of nature, the gunas, arise from Prakriti. And from the interplay of the gunas arise all modifications of the field. So he's saying, no, there is no beginning, there is no end, and that all the qualities of nature come from, all the qualities, Satya, Rajas, Tamas, all the different qualities come from nature itself. And how do things occur? The interplay of the gunas in Prakriti. So if you think about the three primary colors, what are they? Red, blue, and yellow. And you get the three primary colors and you can mix them and you get all different shades, right? You can get thousands of shades just from three primary colors. So here it's like saying the gunas. We can get all kinds of moods and all kinds of personalities and all kind of situations by the play of the gunas, all kind of weather situations, all kind of business situations, all kinds of emotional situations, all happen because of the plays of the gunas, how we understand them in ourselves. So, for example, if you understand yourself, your makeup, your personality, let's say, for example, and this is why Gurudev always said to know yourself first and foremost. So you know now that your personality is really an interplay of the gunas. It's not really you. So what you do is you build your higher self up. So are you understanding yourself a little bit more? I want you to understand it in your own body and your own field, because when I could understand this, all these situations are just like a play of gunas and you just watch the play. And you just bypass it without getting too affected at all by it. So this is why the knowledge is so wonderful, jnanam. That's what he said. This is the wisdom to be known. It's to go through your difficult times in life and not get emotional and, oh my God, what's happening to me? Nah, what's the worst that can happen? We'll die. Death is not death. We are forever alive. And that's the joy of that knowledge. 20. Though Prakriti is the cause and effect of every action, and also the instruments of action through the body and the senses, it is Purusha who experiences all pleasure and pain. Now I got really confused when I read this one. First you say, you don't experience anything, and now God, you say you experience everything. And then I, of course, go back to that white screen. While all this is going on, the white screen is there with you all the time. So that's how I understood that. I would also like to relate this to a sutra in book 3 of the Yoga Sutras of Sri Patanjali, Sutra 36. Here it goes. The intellect and the Purusha, or Atman, are totally different. The intellect existing for the sake of the Purusha, while the Purusha exists for its own sake. Not distinguishing this is the cause of all experiences. And by samyama on the distinction, knowledge of the Purusha is gained. Okay, now here I'd just like to be really clear. The intellect, he says here as well, though Prakriti is the cause and effect of every action, and also instruments of action through body and the senses, which is including your intellect, it is Purusha who experiences all. So what it is telling you here, and in the next few slokas, which I will read, is really when you understand that Prakriti, nature, may do everything, but behind it all, there is Purusha. And because of Purusha, giving the light to your body and your senses, you experience pleasure and pain. He also says in that sutra, samyama, on this truth, when you really, what is samyama? Samyama is when you are in total concentration, dharana, dhyana, and samadhi. Okay? What does that mean? You focus. So what would you focus on? You do samyama on, who am I really? Am I this body? Am I this mind? Am I these emotions? Am I my senses? Who am I? What happens when my body dies? What leaves it? So who am I? If what leaves it is prana, then prana is not Nalini. Prana belongs to consciousness, space, ether, in a realm of soul or spirit. So who am I here? And what is my place here? This is samyama. And you focus, and you focus, and you focus. Who is God? What is God? What is consciousness? The scientists speak of consciousness everywhere. The Upanishads speak of God is everywhere. Oh my God. God is having an experience through me. Oh my God. God is having an experience through all of us. Oh my Krishna, this is incredible. So God is experiencing all through us. So let us be the best we can as an instrument of that divine splendor, as he mentioned, the light of splendor through our body. So I don't belong to me. So, oh my God, I need now to behave divinely. Do you see that samyama leads you to a place where you see that in everyone, and yourself included. 21. Purusha, the unmanifested, resting ever present in Prakriti, experiences the play of the gunas, which are the manifestations of Prakriti. He's just repeating now. However, attachment to any of the gunas' pleasing experiences veils the Purusha, which then takes birth in good or evil circumstances. So he's saying, I'm telling you that the gunas do everything. But if you get so involved and you think you are the gunas and you think you get so involved and so attached to everything, what happens is, you get attached to pleasant experiences too. Oh my God, my life is so good. I really, I love this life. And then if you die, you're attached to pleasurable experiences. You'll just come back again. God loves us so much that, whatever your desire is, you'll get the body to come back again to experiences. Because many people have said to me, Nalini, I don't want this to be my last life. I love this life. Great, then just have a great desire that you want to fulfill. Live it beautifully so that your desire can be fulfilled for you. Come back again in your body. You have many chances. But know that once you come to this dimension, it's not that easy. And maybe you haven't experienced suffering yet or whatever. But know that. But go with open arms. We have as many chances as we like, But once you realize that coming back, you still have to go through suffering again and again and again and again, then you kind of get a little tired of the cycle. I like what Swami Vivekananda said at his last moments, He said, because we often think, I so much suffering in this world, and, do I really want to come back? And I think, there's so much suffering in this world. I so agree. But there's also so much beauty in this world. I so know that. How all the times I've loved and all the people I've met, and will I change this for anything? No. Would I say I wouldn't have wanted this experience? Never. Even all the painful experiences are just like an act in the play. So, but at the the end of it all, if I'm here for eternity, I really don't know what's best for me. Swami Vivekananda said at the end of his journey, "Dear Lord, I don't care if I come back again or not. All I ask, whatever you decide, let me always, no matter what, if I have to come back again and again, to never forget you, to never forget this connection. If I have to come back, let it be to serve you in this wisdom and raise hearts and raise souls. But otherwise, if you can spare me, give me a new planet." So that was Nalini, by the way. So that's what it's saying. Then you take birth in whatever you do, good deeds, bad deeds, your karma will give you the next life, will determine your next life. 22. The Supreme Lord is present in your body and mind. There, it's with you all the time. There he may be recognized as the witness, which I said earlier. You can start to recognize God is the witness, the permitter, the ground of being, the experiencer, Maheshwaraha, highest of the highest, and Paramatmam, the supreme self. It's in your body. That's what Krishna is telling Arjuna. There is the divine in your very own body. 23. Whoever understands the true nature of Purusha and Prakriti, together with the gunas, whatever his or her calling may be, is free from the cycle of births and deaths. So once you really understand this, then you're free from births and deaths, because you've graduated from this university called Earth. We are here to learn this in this university. So once you've learned it, then you've graduated, you don't need to come back. 24. Some realize the true self by meditation, dhyana. Others by the path of knowledge, jnanam. And still others by karma yoga, the path of selfless service. Look, I love the Gita. It doesn't close doors. It says so many ways to realize this. It doesn't say this is the only way. It says some do it by meditation, others by the path of knowledge, others by karma yoga, service to humanity. 25. There are yet others who don't know any of these paths. Still, if they but hear of self-realization from others, they are moved to worship with true devotion, they too achieve immortality. So he's also saying, look, don't judge people. There are those who don't do any of this. They don't have any of this kind of knowledge, but just listening, just listening about self-realization, just hearing about it, something moves them to true devotion, and then they suddenly realize, you know what? I am immortal. The divine is in me. And I've seen this happen many, many times in my life. Many times. People who have known nothing of this path. And suddenly, they just hear. Some of my clients, sometimes they come and see me and they only know suffering. Excuse me. And they hear of when I talk about who are you before you came into this body, who are you when you die, they get very interested and they want to know more. And then they start on their own search for the divine. It's happened many times and I love that. It's very exciting to watch people on their own journey, finding God the way they need to find God, not the way that I advise, because I don't know where their way is sometimes. And this is why I really don't believe, and I get very upset when some of the students force people to go on this path, because it's not about that at all. It isn't. It is about finding their peace with God, their peace with themselves. It's not about any path. And this is why I think all of us have fallen in love with Swami Satchidananda, particularly for that reason. Truth is one, paths are many. There's no judgment on this path. Let everybody find their own road. And, if they don't find it here, may they find it where they can. There's so many good people in this world, And that is what's important, that they just get there. The divine's in everyone. I didn't say it. It's said in all the scriptures again and again. So what job do we have is to show you that. That's all. To show you that truth. 26. Whatever comes into existence, whether animate or inanimate, does so through the union of the field and the knower of the field. So everything that happens, everything that comes into existence comes through this field. When we create something, right? We make something, you paint a picture, you read a book, so everything comes through the field and the knower who works through you. 27. Whoever perceives the Supreme Lord, Parameshwara, the same in all beings, who recognizes the Eternal One amidst those who appear to be dying, that person sees the truth. So he says, whoever sees the God in all beings, who recognizes the Eternal One amidst those who appear to be dying. So why does he choose this part? Because dying and separation is so hard for the human being, so hard. I mean, I know when my husband died 14 years ago, well, time, where does it go? When I was watching his dying process, when I was watching this dying process, I had to focus on not his body dying, but his spirit entering divine. And so my focus with him was, I actually read to him, because they say it's very lucky to read chapter 18 of the Bhagavad Gita to somebody who is dying. So I read to him the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, the last few days of his life. I asked him to look for light, because it is only through seeing the divine in him that I could lead him to the divine. Otherwise, my personal attachments would drag him down into suffering, which he didn't need more of. So when you can see the divine in the person who's dying, then although you suffer the pain of the loss, which is horrific, you also are so happy that they are free at the same time. Especially if they die beautifully. You're so happy for them, they're free. And you realize your sadness is really because of your own personal emotions and selfishness, really, to be quite honest with myself. That's the truth. So, let us turn to 28. Because he recognizes the one God, Ishvara, equally present in every being, he naturally avoids harming any living creature, including himself. Love thy neighbor as thyself. You have no right to harm yourself. Do you get that? All these people, self-flagellation, all these people, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. You're insulting God in you. And all these people who do these extreme diets or extreme meditation and hide away for days and in the name of God, I mean, you're hurting yourself. You have no right to hurt yourself. Because the moment something is hurting you, stop. Stop. I know there is good pain. When I teach Hatha Yoga, I say there is good pain, which is discomfort, when you're stretching new horizons, and there is pain. When your body experiences pain, stop the posture. is your body telling you something is wrong. If your body is experiencing pain and you're forced yourself into the posture, you can break yourself. And many people don't listen. And many doctors have told me that most of the injuries that come in now are from Hatha Yoga because they force their bodies. As it's painful, don't listen. So, you need to love yourself. You need to respect the body in everything you do. No extremes in any way. Yoga is not for extremities because you damage yourself. And he says, when you start to recognize God in everyone, you don't want to harm anybody. You don't even want to harm yourself. You look after yourself. And in this way, he attains the supreme goal. And just being in moderation, you can attain the supreme goal. 29. He sees reality who perceives that all actions are done solely by Prakriti and that Atman is not the doer. So you know that all these actions that you understand happens because you are in nature. 30. Whoever perceives the whole variety of creation resting in oneness, unity, and knows that all action is the evolution of that oneness, that person has realized the absolute Brahman. He's repeating himself again. He said, once you know that it is like science says, there is only one consciousness and we're all part of this one consciousness. And then you realize that evolution happens because we have to evolve into understanding that we are part of this consciousness. Until we don't understand, we keep evolving from one lifetime to the other lifetime till it comes a time when we go for this and realize, as we are all, seems like in this lifetime, searching for this one truth, the absolute Brahman. 31. The self has no beginning nor any differentiating qualities. Though it dwells in the perishable body, Arjuna, it is deathless. It is not the doer, nor is it affected by anything that is done. So it's just saying that we are doing this. This is our choice. We have the choice. The spirit comes in us so that we have the experience of living. But one thing we do have is what to do now, how to live now. What are we going to make our wisdom? What are we searching for in this life? What is our human mission? Because the doer does not do that for us. It is our desires that have brought us back to this earth. So we have to figure it out. This is our challenge. This is our journey. We have to figure this all out. 32. Just as the all-pervasive akasha, etheric atmosphere, is never tainted because it is so subtle, so is Atman present throughout the body of every creature, forever untouched and immaculate. He repeats again, the spirit can never be damaged. It can never be destroyed. The spirit lives in all of us, in every creature, and none of us will ever die. 33. Just as one sun lights this whole world, Arjuna, so does the Lord of the fields, God, enlighten all creation. That you understand. 34. If you have uncovered the eye of wisdom and can distinguish between the field and its knower, between the path of absolute freedom and the bondage of nature's illusions, then you have attained the supreme. If you have uncovered the eye of wisdom, that's what they always say, the third eye, and they think the third eye lives here. It doesn't. It's somewhere in there. They call it the God spot, right in the middle. The pineal gland connects us to the God spot. And scientists are realizing more and more about the pineal gland that the yogis had ever known, always known. They've always said its consciousness is everywhere. They've always said it. They've always known that we had to go internally and that we're not this body and we're not this mind, that we're consciousness. Always known. But it's so funny, we do know and yet we don't know. Isn't it incredible? That's why when we get so involved in all the suffering of the world and we get so involved in all this nonsense, we get trapped in anger and fear and hatred and worry. And it's saying, hey, wake up, wake up, wake up. This is just the gunas. This is just Prakriti. Sorting out the world. It's chiropracting our world. We have nothing. This is the gunas organizing. Mother Nature is realizing things have gone way out of hand. Human beings are too greedy. So let us suffer a little bit to appreciate one another, to look for something more. We got so involved in the comfort of this generation. We have everything, and yet I think it's the poorest of poorest generations because there's no appreciation. There is no gratitude anymore. For, gratitude to our parents, gratitude to our siblings, gratitude to friends, gratitude for anyone being in your life, gratitude to the people who hurt you, who have taken you to where you are. We have forgotten God's call. So nature has to make us suffer a little. And then when you go too enmeshed in the world, you are suffering. Step back. That's why I keep telling people when they get so involved in all this at the moment, step back. Step back. Be used as an instrument of peace. We are instruments of the divine splendor of light. This is what we must reflect. And if we are called to do work, we will do that work. And this is how you feel, this feeling of we, And it is not about separation. It is about understanding that this is all we can do when things are dark, and dark things must happen in order for us to see light. Otherwise, we don't recognize the light. We take things for granted in our lives. We take everything for granted, we think. And this is our problem. As soon as everything is going well, we soon forget. And this is the human journey, and this is why I carry on every Wednesday, year after year, for 35 years now, just talking about these things, because to remind myself to constantly, we live in the hubbub of society, and it is important to step back and allow the divine to weave its magic, and if we need it, the splendor will be used through us. And if we're not needed, we do something else. And that's as simple as it is. And when you understand that, you realize everything else is nature's illusion. It is just an illusion. It's just an illusion, This is just a play. Thus ends the 13th discourse of the Bhagavad Gita, the science of yoga, entitled Yoga of the Field and its Knower.